Hey, this is Dana from Yarnovations. Happy to talk about weaving on a pin loom triangle. This is a 2-inch triangle. I warped and wove it on a handmade pin loom with a 3-pin configuration. You'll see sets of 3 pins. This is a 2-inch loom. I've also made it in wood and foam, and I made one that's a 4-inch triangle. And I'm happy to show you the warp that I've done on this one first. And I did it in cotton thread. And I recommend that if you're learning to weave the triangle for the first time, that you try cotton thread, just so you can see any trouble areas, because the yarn can get close together, you know, like on the vertical warps, and there'll be a couple of overlapping threads on the pins here, like doubling up. So it's just easier to see on a thinner yarn. But weaving on a 4-inch and 2-inch is the same. It's just there's more of the repetitive steps on the larger loom. So I'm going to demonstrate it on this 2-inch triangle. I'm going to be using size 3 superwash merino wool. You can also do a size 4 yarn. It's just trickier to see what you're doing. So most looms come with an arrow here at the right angle, which would be the left corner. So you're going to put your yarn just to the left of those 4 pins. So you're going to bring your yarn straight up, and oh, look at this. This pin seems out of place, and in our looms we specifically moved that there for easy weaving, but your yarn will come back down and align just fine. So it is out of alignment, and that's intentional on our looms. Most looms that you get online will not have that configuration. But so you're going to wrap your yarn around 2 pins, and that's going to be consistent most of the time. So you wrap the first 2, you come down, and you're going to skip these 2 pins because you're going to start between 2 and 3, and then you're going to wrap 2 pins. I'm holding the yarn there because it can be tricky on the triangle, so I wrap the 2 and then let it fully wrap. Pull the tension. So when you come to the top, you see where you wrapped 2, so then you're going to skip a pin, and then you're going to wrap the next 2. And again, I hold the yarn so that I can more easily wrap that. So I've got 2 wrapped, and I come down and I place it between the first and second pin of the next set of 3. I'm going to wrap 2 pins, which is our normal standard, and bring it to the top. Skipped 1, I'm going to wrap 2, come back down to the bottom, put it between pin 1 and 2, wrap 2, skipped this pin, wrapped 2, and now it's coming between the first and second pin, which there's only 2 pins out at the corner. Okay, I've done my first layer of warp. So now I'm going to turn the loom to the hypotenuse so it's easier to weave, because I'm right-handed. So I'm going to wrap these first 2 pins and bring the yarn straight up and go between the first and second pin. Then I'm going to bring it around 2 pins, bring it down like before. You're skipping 1 pin, and you're going to wrap 2 pins, bringing it up and placing it between 1 and 2, wrap 2, bring it down, skip 1, wrap 2, bring it up between 1 and 2, wrap 2, skip 1, wrap 2 pins, and bring it up to the top between the last 2 pins. Now we're going to turn our loom one more time back to the original position, and we're going to wrap 2 pins, the one on the right, one on the left and the one on top. So we're wrapping those 2, but this time we're going to come straight down. We're just going to wrap at that top limb pin. So it's coming down, and it's going through pin 1 and 2 this time. And you can see that this last strand that we've done is kind of in between the first 2, and that's what you're looking for. So this 3rd layer is going to kind of go in between. So again, you're going to wrap 2 pins, come straight up, skip a pin and wrap 2, bring it down to the gap, wrap it around 2, skip a pin, wrap 2, go into the gap, wrap 2, skip a pin, wrap 2, come into the gap, and you are finished warping. You've done all 3 layers. And again, you'll notice on the side that there are sometimes two wraps on a pin, and we'll address that on the weaving side. The left side all has single wraps, but the right side sometimes has doubles. So now we need a length of yarn for weaving. So I'm just going to wrap around the pin loom on the outside 4 times, just to give me a length of yarn to weave. And then it also leaves a tail for weaving shapes together, for joining shapes with a whip stitch or something. So you take a weaving needle. This one's 6 inches long, which is the standard weaving needle length for pin loom weaving. And I'm just unwrapping to that last, where the last layer of warp ended. Pinch the yarn, I put it through the needle. Okay, a word of warning, weaving triangles is more challenging than squares. Just a heads up. Okay, so we're going to start with this first outside loop, and you always go over it with your needle, and you begin by going under the first strand. Then you go over the next strand, under the next, then over, under. You can tell which one to go under because it's recessed, and which one to go over because it's raised. And so you go over and under all the way across, and you're going to sometimes use your finger to help navigate these yarn strands. You go under this last one. So then you're going to pull the needle through, and if it gets caught on between these pins, it's because your eye is sideways. So if you turn it, it'll slide right between the pins. Now sometimes your yarn will want to snag on the corner or whatnot, and that's normal, so just keep pulling it through. Okay, so since I'm right-handed, I'm going to actually turn my loom so it's easier for me to weave. And what we're looking for is the loops that wrap 2 pins, and that's how you know where to start your next weave. So on this side, I'm going over that loop, and then I begin under, over, under, over. And that first one can be tricky if you don't have this yarn held tight, the tail there. So going over the side loop and under that first loop or strand. Then I continue to weave over, under, across. See how close these two are together, but I knew I needed to go under, and I'll go over this one. Same here on the end. Gets kind of tricky, but I know that there's another strand right there. I'm going to end with an under. Do you see the 3 strands there? Going under, over, and then under. Okay. And I generally like to put my thumb on the pins as I pull the strand through so that nothing pops off or over and out of alignment. Okay, now, if you can see it, now we're at the fun, tricky part where there's 2 layers of yarn on this wrapped pin. Okay, we need to address that, otherwise it gets a little sloppy looking. So what I have found the easiest thing to do is to take my needle and push this top layer to the right. And then I can scoop up the bottom layer. And that becomes my first under. Now I'm going over and under all the way across. Sometimes this bottom warp gets in the way. What I should have done is beat that down a little bit. I'll show you that on the next pass. So I'm weaving in over and under across. Pull that needle through, sometimes give it a little twist. Oh. Okay. So sometimes in weaving you beat down the threads so that it's easier to weave the next row. And so you can just take your needle and press those weaving layers down. No need to get fancy comb or anything like that. So I will be weaving through this next layer here, so I can even press down this yarn here. Okay. So again, I'm going over the one that has the 2 and just do a regular weaving under, over, all the way across. Okay. You can beat down if you like. The next layer, again, another one of those fun, there's 2 layers there. So bring that to the right, top one to the right, swoop under the bottom one. And then go over, under, all the way across. Sorry, I'm struggling here because my pins are a little bit tight. Okay. Go again, just traditional over, under on this layer. I'm going to go down to this lower pin area. I could have come straight here, but I wanted to snag that row just a little bit lower. And again, we've got the 2 here, so I'm going to push this pin, this top thread to the right, so I can swoop up the bottom. Now I'm going to weave a little bit up at an angle to go up to these 2 pins here. And sometimes it's hard to find this last under, or to get to that last under, and sometimes I'll use a needle to push that aside. Okay, the last one is right here, these 2 wraps. And so it's tricky to see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 strands here, which is why we moved this pin where we did. Phew, we made it. Okay, now all 4. I'll take my needle off, and I'm going to use it because this is homemade and there's heads on these nails. Sometimes it needs extra help wiggling to get off over these pin heads. So I'll just bring my needle underneath and help pop them off. Okay, there it is, our triangle. So I wanted to show you, here's a 4-inch square. If I lay the triangle on this corner and place another one next to it, what we've got is a 2-inch square on our 4-inch square. So happy weaving!